I'm Becca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, so you directed this film alongside Frederick. So can you talk to me a little bit about what it was like working together and what was the conversation like when deciding to create this film?
I had the name Invisible Beauty because I was working on another film that was an expose for the about the model industry and the fashion industry. Frederick and I had met previously because he had directed a little small 3-minute clip of me for the CFD Awards. And at one given point, my former director and I were no longer, and this film, people were telling me the film should be about me anyway, and then eventually I decided that it should be. By the time I spoke to Frederick about it, he knew I was trying to organize some things, and so one day he came to me. He said, "You know, I'd like to do your story, but I like if you would only consider if I would like to do your story, but only if you consider um, directing, co-directing it with me." So that's how it started. And I was like, I thought that was a smart move on his part. So and then it would help me to sort of like do what I was supposed to be doing all along anyway and get me moving because he was experienced and I had never done one before.
Mhm.
And so that's how it started, came to be.
Yes. So throughout the film, we hear from people like Tyson Beckford, Tracy Ellis Ross, Zendaya, Pat Cleveland, and Naomi Campbell as they talk about your legacy and your impact on the fashion industry. So, how do you feel hearing all these people talk about your legacy in such a high regard?
I feel good about it. No, no, it's always like, listen, if you if you do the walk, someone's going to report it. Whatever happens, if you do it, they're going to talk about it. If you've affected their life, they're going to tell people about it. So you know that those things that they're saying is all accurate because it really sort of like I've influenced some, and others I've impressed, and others I've been there for, and so they have stories to tell about me. So I listen. I know they're saying the right thing because it's coming from them.
And I kind of want to touch on that feeling. Can you describe what it feels like seeing your accomplishments, the trials and tribulations, and everything you've had your hand in broken down into a nearly 2-hour film?
Well, it was interesting. He loved 7 hours of footage that he had. He had the 7 hours down to 4 hours. And the 4 hours that he got down, he showed me. Um, and at that point, I mean, up until then, I didn't know. I mean, I just helped make the film. But when I saw the 4 hours, then I saw, okay, now we have something here. I became a believer right away. I could see the story because I didn't see the story before. I was just participating. Um, and not knowing my history, even though I had a history and I knew that I had done these things, I didn't think it was, you know, worthy of a film, a whole, feature film. But once between the archives and the storytelling and the editing and how, no, it really worked. So it really became really like I was pleased to see.
Yes, and I was pleased to watch.
Very good.
So, when I was in college, I took a fashion course where we talked about diversity in fashion. And during one of the lessons, we discussed your impact. And one of the things I loved most about the film is that I already had an idea of who you were and everything that you've accomplished, but this film helped me get a better understanding and a deeper view into who you are. So, what do you want viewers to walk away feeling after watching Invisible Beauty?
I hope that more people who've seen the film who feel that they've known me for 20, 30 years, so many people, they never knew any of that. They didn't know all of that. So as you watch it, you think, well, I didn't know because I was young and I didn't know. Well, there are people who are far older than you who didn't know any of that. They didn't know the background of it all because I live amongst them, but we're not talking about that now. We're no longer, but they even if they see and they know about Bethann Hardison was someone who actually helped to change the fashion game and helped to make black models more relevant again. They didn't know the whole story, the underlying of it. So it was very interesting for people to sort of see it. I walk away just hoping that the film can get into a place where it lives on for perpetuity and that we can have it in a museum or an institution or someplace where people can always see it. Because I think it will not be something that you will say, oh, well, that was old. I think it'll be something that people could watch and say, wow, oh, because I think that the model of color will last. I don't think he or she are going anywhere anymore. It looks like everyone is very comfortable with the darker skin, wearing clothes, and being put in advertising. Everybody's doing it. I don't think what's happening in the corporate world, where Black Lives Matter movement changed everything from 2020 to 2023, and now things are shifting back again, and that the DEI executives are all being fired and all those things. I think when it comes down to this environment in this industry, I think it's here to stay. I keep my foot on the clutch, but I do hope that maybe this film would be something that people will know what it took to do something and how it was done.
And this past week, I went to a few New York Fashion Week events, and the amount of like models of color that I saw, it's just like my heart was like, oh my gosh, because I know a few years ago, this isn't what you would see. So to see it now,
Well, they'd say 10 to 15 years ago, you wouldn't have seen this.
yeah.
But see, the only problem with this, for me, as a manager of models of the past, is that when you have that many models that all sort of look similar, you're not allowing models to develop a career.
Mm.
That's the problem with that. That's the only thing that's wrong. Because these girls can come and the boys can come and they have but there's no one developing that individual and that they can build on it, because there's so many of them that look very similar. And so it's wonderful. I saw two girls yesterday I thought was really extraordinary. And they were West African girls too, but individually different and so extraordinary. But there's so many good girls out there, so many good look, and you just wonder, like, okay, adventures, it's like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Where I'm used to developing talent to have a career. So you see someone like Iman Hamam or Cindy Bruna and girls like that, you see that, oh my God, they're working, and it's been 10 years. That's the way you want to go to have a model. But for right now, this is nice for all of us to look at and see that we're infused with color.
Yes. Longevity. That's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
So seeing how, like we touched on it, so seeing how the industry has changed and grown over the years, what do you think still needs to be done?
Well, I would hope, this is really pie in the sky desire, but I would hope that, schools would, I know that people go into school to learn to do something called designing, and they all want to design. And I keep thinking about, when we keep talking about sustainability, what are we talking about? I have so many clothes, I'm telling you, and I don't even have like a lot of like designer clothes. I mean, yes, I have Gucci, and I have, Issey Miyake, people like that, Comme des Garçons. But I don't really go out shopping and stuff, but I can keep finding things to buy, and I just wonder that if we can have designers, students, to educate them more about business, and want them to be maybe going to the side of learning about business instead of not all just learning about design. And then it would be really great if the industry could encourage people to not necessarily go and start their own line, but to go and work towards going to work for another company. So that young people can really not take the hit on their own, business, but they learn and make mistakes, let mistakes be made by the other guy, and they still have, say, health insurance. Learn to, and develop so much more, and be an apprentice, and don't feel upset about being an apprentice. An apprenticeship is really great. And if you can do that, I would love to see more people being encouraged to do that. And then that designers in our industry we get people who are experts and come and mentor those who have businesses. That's what I like to see. That's what I'm going to work towards.
And my last question is, what advice do you have for those who do want to join the fashion industry but are hesitant or feel like the opportunities might not be there for them, especially for people of color?
I don't think that there are not opportunities. I think there's opportunities for everybody, actually. I want to put that right. There's opportunities for everyone. I just think that you have to really be passionate about something, not just desire it. That's, you gotta have ambition, to really want to be in a business that will chew you up and spit you out. And don't be mad at the other guy and call it because you're Black. And don't lean on that. You got to come in gangster. Either you got it or you don't. And if you can recognize in yourself that you just want to be recognized because you want to be in a page or a magazine or go to a party, or, I just think I want to do it. No, if you really want to do it, strategize. Think about how I can really become successful at this. You don't need to have your own business to be successful at something. I never wanted to have my own business. I was getting out of it the whole time I was getting in it, having a model agency. The last thing I wanted was to have a model agency. I love working for other people and with other people. The idea really is to sort of like build who you are. That's where my confidence came from. I think is working for other people for so long, other people showing me how important I was to them and teaching me. I got to write that down, by the way.
You do, you do. In part two of the film,
Yeah, I got it down right now.
when you do a part two of the film, you can add that.
That's right, exactly.
Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I love the movie, and I think your legacy is so important for everyone to watch.
Thank you so much. And that what I always keep saying as I leave everything is that it's not a fashion film per se, but it's fashion related. And so many people go in thinking maybe it's not for me because it's about fashion. But when you go in, there's so much more to see. So thank you too.
Thank you. Of course. Thanks.